Hi, I'm John Maxwell. When the top companies in the world are looking for trainers, speakers, and coaches, there's one name that stands above the rest, and that's Maxwell Leadership. Our certified team members have gotten proven results for companies all over the globe, and our reputation, I'm proud to say, is second to none. Some of our members have risen to the top of their profession, including the one you're going to meet today. I proudly introduce you to my friend Bob Fabian Zinka.
Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you need to develop into a better leader, this podcast is for you. If you want to achieve a greater level of success, this podcast is for you. His mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, said it best: everything rises and falls on leadership. We hope to inspire you today and provide you with an insight that has the potential to positively impact the trajectory of your life. Welcome to the Leadership and Success Podcast.
Imagine gaining the leadership skills that could redefine your career. Join Coach BZ on the Leadership and Success Podcast, where each episode delivers practical insights from world-class speakers, military leaders, and industry experts. We dive deep into what matters most: building resilient teams, leading through uncertainty, and navigating complexity with clarity and confidence. Every conversation is crafted for aspiring leaders like you who are ready to grow, lead, and make a lasting impact. Don't miss our powerful live sessions and recent highlights. Michelle Hayward on building diverse, high-performing technical teams. Ann Leslie on leading through global complexity and cybersecurity risk. Ron Carpenter AI exploring faith, resilience, and AI-powered leadership. Colonel Michelle G.I. Gardner-Ince on commanding influence from the battlefield to the boardroom. Chris Robinson on shifting from drift to drive in life and leadership. And Coach Enrique Acosta Gonzalez on mentorship, legacy, and heart-centered leadership. Ready to level up your leadership journey? Tune in on Spotify, Apple, Audible Podcasts, YouTube Live, and LinkedIn Live. Join the movement toward leadership excellence. Listen now and start transforming your success.
Welcome back to another powerful episode of the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ. Today, I am truly honored to introduce a remarkable leader, scholar, and mentor who has dedicated her life to equipping and empowering others, Dr. Elisangela Rodrigues. Dr. Rodrigues is a Brazilian-born, France-based visionary, a wife and mother of three, who embodies what it means to lead with both heart and impact. With a PhD in computer science from Telecom Sud Paris, she has bridged the worlds of research, industry, and education. But she didn't stop there. She transitioned her career into leadership development, becoming a certified professional coach and a coach, speaker, and trainer with Maxwell Leadership. Over the last 20 years, Dr. Rodrigues has mentored and trained leaders across 3 continents and in 3 languages: Portuguese, English, and French. From coaching executives and entrepreneurs to guiding diplomats, managers, and church leaders, her mission is clear: to encourage, equip, and empower leaders who create lasting transformation based on human values. She is the founder of Emervele, Rise Up and Evolve Together, a movement dedicated to helping individuals, especially expatriates, leaders, and parents, navigate life's transitions with resilience, authenticity, and purpose. On social media, you may know her for her inspiring words: "I don't look for perfection, I look for authenticity." And in today's episode, we'll explore what authenticity in leadership really means and how it can change the way we live, lead, and connect with others. So get ready, because this conversation is going to inspire you to grow, to lead with courage, and to multiply leaders in your own sphere of influence. Let's welcome my friend and today's special guest, Dr. Elisangela Rodrigues.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Today is going to be a very special day. I have a special guest with me. And before I introduce her, let's do our moment of gratitude. It's only going to take a minute. And what I want to do is I would like to ask you to think about one thing you are grateful for today. So if you would and you can, close your eyes, put yourself in your happy place. You can take a very deep breath if you want to relax and think about one thing you are grateful for today. And for me, today I am grateful for emerging technology, especially when it comes to global communication. It is really amazing what we can do with technology today. You are going to see videos of me on this platform speaking in French, which I do speak French, but Spanish, I don't speak very fluently, Portuguese, Korean, Vietnamese, and all kinds of languages that I don't normally speak, but it's going to be done automatically by artificial intelligence. And I think that is really wonderful that we can use emerging technology to bridge the gap between communication between us and the rest of the world. So I'm going to be bringing a very, very special guest today. I am honored to welcome Dr. Elisangela Rodrigues, a visionary global leader, international coach, certified Maxwell Leadership mentor, to this episode of the Leadership and Success podcast. Dr. Rodrigues brings a unique blend of global experience spanning America, Europe, and Africa with over 20 years of leadership training across three languages: Portuguese. She was born in Portugal, English, and French, and she lives in Paris, France. So she's done coaching, executive, entrepreneur to mentoring, diplomat, and church leader. Her mission is clear: to encourage, to equip, and empower leaders who create lasting impact. So without any further ado, let me bring Dr. Elisangela Rodrigues. How are you doing today, Dr.
So
Rodrigues?
honored, and I'm definitely not feeling that young when you say 20 years of experience. Maybe it should mean
Yes,
the time has passed.
yes. Wow. But yes, so grateful to have you here. What a great honor. And of course, you and I, we've been mentored and coached and trained by the one and only Dr. John C. Maxwell. And it's really amazing the global impact that his organization has. I don't know if you've ever gone on mission trips with him, but I think it was two, maybe three years ago. I went with him to the Dominican Republic, and we were able to actually reach out and teach pretty much most of the government and the society of the Dominican Republic within a week. I think we reached out more than 25,000 leaders there. Me personally, I spoke at a school with teacher. I spoke to businessmen there in the Dominican Republic, entrepreneur, and I also spoke. Uh, yeah, I said the school. Yeah, school and businessmen were mostly what my assignment was. So I probably taught maybe, I don't know, 200 people, but the entire group, we reached more than 25,000 people in 1 week, teaching them about
I've,
leadership
I've
principle
been
and
there.
values. It's really
I've been
great.
there. I've been there with
Wow,
him on November
wow, that is
2021 as well.
wow, that is really really
Dominican
awesome.
Republic. So I was in one of them. Yeah.
Wow, that is really amazing. Can we start? What is one thing you are grateful for today?
You were asking, and I was thinking, um, I love hard questions. So today I am thankful for the discussion I had with my oldest son. That wasn't easy, but yeah,
Mm,
I love because I think we grow together when we are having these hard
yes.
conversations. So I'm glad we had
Hmm.
uncomfortable but necessary.
Good. Wow. Yeah, that is true. I have two children myself. One of them is, I guess, a young adult now. But it's really amazing how kids grow up almost like overnight. It seems like like she was just born yesterday. But anyway, time goes on really quickly. And what is one thing about you that most people may not
What
know?
do people don't know about me? That's quite interesting question. Um, those who doesn't know me I would say, it's I think I feel so transparency, so authentic that people who knows
Hmm.
me, they know me. That's the point
Yes.
why it's
Yeah.
secret. So I would say, I can be extrovert person, and also
Hmm.
someone who is reserved in the same time.
Yes.
So I can talk with anyone, but I will just show my
Mhm.
real feelings, my questions, my insecurities to few people, those I can really trust. So that's one of the things. Yeah.
Wow. That's powerful. And how many languages do you speak?
I speak three fluently, and I'm studying Spanish, so I can listening, I can understand,
Hmm.
but I don't practice as much as I should.
Wow. So it's Portuguese, French,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
English, right? That is pretty amazing. Wow. Okay. If someone met you for the first time, how would you describe what you do?
What I do, I would say I help people to become their
Mm,
better version of themselves.
wow.
That would
That's
describe what I
powerful.
do.
So, can you tell us a little bit about your leadership journey?
Leadership journey, it's something I started really, really young, you know, maybe not with that name, but since I was a kid, I was a leader. that's that's something I was encouraged by my father, and I just make a post to say to our man, listen to us. That you have an amazing um, influence on girls' life, because when we
Hmm.
have your daddy behind your back, nobody stops you. Nobody, nobody. So my
Wow.
father has been that father who not only were near me, but he was encouraged me to think. He was a teacher on mathematics, so he was used to come home and bring books with questions to make me
Hmm.
think about logic. And he let me with an exercise and say, later at night, I want the answer. So that allows me to start
Wow.
thinking, what is the answer for this? What is the answer for this? And rarely he would answer. He would keep asking questions to make me think. So based on this asking questions, I was asking questions about the world, why people do this, why we do this way, why we do,
Hmm.
So soon you become a leader in front of others, because you are won't be near the people who have
Wow.
influence and say, why do we do this way? Why can't we do it another way? What if we ask people about this? So
Hmm.
first of all, it was at school, second at the church, and later in the university. I became a leader in the university. We had an association that belongs to an international organization called International Fellowship Evangelical Students.
Hmm.
So we had a branch in our university, and we had Bible studies mainly. And again, my question would be, why just Bible studies? We have people who do a lot of art, theater, musicians. Why we could not go and do more than just Bible studies to share the gospel? And this became something that really was contagious. People were curious about these other ways to share gospel, and even Christians were involved. So this became
Wow.
such a thing that I was invited to spend 3 weeks entirely in a training on leadership. That was my first time
Wow.
being trained by leaders on leadership. They said, I want to help you to develop your leadership. So
Wow.
so that's my journey. So that's the first time. So this word leader became something that became more familiar with. I was for the first time really trained to what means leader. So that
Hmm.
was my 20s. And from there, it never stopped.
Wow, that is really fascinating. So you were born in Manaus, Brazil, right? And
Yeah.
now you live in Paris, France. Can you share your journey from the Amazon to becoming a PhD holder in France and a global leadership mentor?
Yeah. I indeed I was born in Manaus, that is in the north of Brazil. In this huge forest around us, and I had a dream, in the among of all many others, that was to travel to other nations. And I told my parents that I would love to send. So when I 13 years old, my mom decided to help me to learn English.
Hmm.
I had a private teacher who helped me to learn. And from that moment, I knew, and everybody knew, that I wasn't there to stay there for long. So when I was in university, I started studying computer science, and my parents were a lot involved in healthy care, working in administration, education, and I knew the need to have, for example, telemedicine in Amazonia, because we have a lot of rivers. People are far away. There are not
Hmm.
doctors everywhere. So I said, I want to study computer science to help develop solutions, to help the
Wow.
doctors, to bring their help to these people who live far, far away. But there were not this kind of studies in our city. So I had
Hmm.
to leave to another city, São Paulo, that in the southwest of Brazil,
Hmm.
in order to try to find a place in that university. So I was
Wow.
there trying to do my best, to be, because it's huge, really hard. When you came from my city, it's
Yes.
right to be selected to be one of them. So I decided to be a volunteering for a year in a lab, in a research lab, in such a way that they could know me better. And my
Wow.
parents invested that year, and then the next year was invited to be part of the master of computer and science in that area. So that's how my journey started. During my master, I met my husband, and
Wow.
my husband had that dream to come to do his PhD outside of Brazil. So we
Man.
got married and we came to Paris. I thought it was for 4 years at most. We
Hmm.
never came back. No, I'm not.
Wow. That is really amazing. Let me tell you something else that is striking. I've talked to quite a lot of leaders. Even now, sometimes I'm looking for people who I think I might interview, bring on the show. But most people, they don't see themselves as a leader at all. They're like, no, I am not a leader. Leadership is way too high. I am way down here. No, I don't want to talk to you on your podcast. But something that you said though, you were just a child and your father influenced you. You actually knew you were a leader as a child. So how do you define lead, leadership? What was that experience like when you realized you were a leader? Because something that no, Dr. John Maxwell teaches, which makes leadership very easy, and I think bring it down to where everybody can have it. It says, leadership is influence,
Yeah,
nothing more, nothing less. And I think anyone can have influence on somebody else. If you are a father, if you are a mother, if you are a student, or if you are a colleague, you can influence one person. And if you can do that in a positive way, I believe that already makes you a leader, right? You don't have to have a big title, you don't have to be a CEO or have thousands of people following you to be a leader. Actually, I also believe in self leadership. Sometimes the only person you need to influence is yourself, right? Even if nobody else is following you. But it's just very striking that out of the gate, even as a child, you knew that you were called to leadership. Can you tell us a little bit more about
yeah.
that?
I think that's the great um, gift that God gives us as kids,
Hmm.
is that you don't know that you can't do things.
Yes.
So when you seed in a kid's heart, in a kid's belief about um, their power, and that you have their right to raise their voices and do things, empowering them, especially behind your father, your mother. I mean, who
Hmm.
can be against you? You feel really
Yes.
powerful about this. You are not understanding that you have influence. At least I wasn't. I
Yes.
just felt my father were doing things. He was raising his voice for cause that were in his heart. And when I
Mm-hmm.
was telling him that I didn't agree with that, at school something happened, he never told me, doesn't care. He said, what can you
Wow.
do? What can you do? What can you do? And I
Wow.
said, what can I do? I think I can talk to the teacher. What can I do? I
Yes.
think we should have talked to the director. I think we should. And he said, why don't you do it? Why don't you
Wow.
do it? So that's the point. I mean, you were a leader because the
Yes.
environment where I grow up allows me to raise my
Mm-hmm.
voice and ask. And I think
Wow.
even it doesn't mean you are always right.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't mean I always kept on that journey. Sometimes I step back because I realized when I talk that there were people
Yes.
already doing something, and then I came back to that and said, "Oh, they are already doing something. They are inviting me
Wow.
to join them. What do you think?" And he asked me again, "What do you think? Do you want to join them?"
Wow.
He was asking me, this side, Elise, I'll be here to help you to make your decision.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the point. So for me, it was natural to to
Wow.
raise my hand and say I agree or I don't agree or why do you do this way? And
That's
later I realized
powerful.
that the world is not open for a woman or for a
Yes.
girl. Raise my
Yes.
later, but when I was a kid, I didn't know that.
Wow, that is very, very powerful. You remind me of a concept in military we call extreme ownership, right? The thing that we can change, we definitely, no excuses. We are going to on this, succeed or fail. Kind of like the serenity prayer, where that says, "God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference." But as a young child, you already knowing what is possible and what you can change and taking ownership of that. That's true leadership. That is very, very powerful. Now, you mentioned obviously you are a woman. So, how has being a woman leader in a male dominated environment influenced your perspective on authenticity and
Okay,
resilience?
how many hours do you have?
Yeah,
Because
that's.
that's the point. I mean, again, and I will say it again because I think now I know the importance of having a father
Hmm.
encouraging daughters say
Yes.
you are allowed to, because this belief you have inside of you will help you to stay true to yourself through the challenge, through the
Wow.
seasons, through the cultures, and through the countries. Because I realized that if I was a woman, when I was in university, for example, I was a
Hmm.
leader that I was invited to, and I was doing things that for me was so natural. I just was seeing opportunities, why don't you do this and that? I was
Hmm.
invited for someone who was a leader at the university and say, do you know you are a woman? And that women are not allowed to do so, that you should have a man being the president
Oh
of the
my
organization.
God.
We should have a man doing this, and you should be helping
Wow.
him. That's okay with that. That was the first time I really had this one-to-one conversation with
Wow.
someone older than me, a leader, a man, and saying, you aren't the person for this, And I was
Wow.
looking and he thought, I probably not understanding why, but he was
Wow.
speaking in my language. Yeah, I was in my city, I was still in Manaus, and also, but that was the first time I realized that would be a problem.
Hmm.
And later, as you mentioned, through the cultures coming, for example, just to give a huge example, Brazilian are known
Yes.
for what? We are
Yes.
known for football or
Hmm.
for dancing, samba,
Yes.
carnival. That's what we are known. And
Hmm.
as women, when I was in Europe, people were not looking at me as a smart girl or a doctor or a PhD student,
Hmm.
They were asking me, do you like football and do you dance?
Wow.
That's the only things. And I said, I want to meet the ministers. I want to go to the ambassador. I want to be in
Yes.
rooms where decisions are being taken. Who do you think you are? You know, so I do had to thank God for John Maxwell, for this environment that
Yes.
came later in my life. But just to give a few moments in life when
Mm.
what made you stay through to the the device that is calling inside of you
Yes.
definitely is our beliefs. And
Wow.
remember that voice of my father say, you are allowed to, you are allowed to, you are allowed
Yes.
to.
Yes.
That man voice was powerful and has been powerful in my past.
Well, that is really powerful. Sometimes I kind of joke in my house, right? Of course, my wife is a woman. I have two daughters. If it wasn't for our dog, right, I would be the only male in this house. But I really don't understand why, even in America, supposed to be the most powerful country in the world, even women don't get paid as much as men when they have the same experience and they do the same exact job. And this is 2025. We are in the 21st century. Like, what is going on? That doesn't make any sense at all. Of course, we've never elected a woman president in France or in uh, the US, but yeah, I really truly believe in the way I've raised both of my daughter. They can do anything a man can do. Really, there is no limit, and there shouldn't be. And so, anyway, things are getting much much better, but
Yeah,
we're definitely
things are
not
getting
where
better.
we
Yeah.
need to be at.
Again, I'm a generation of pioneering women. I
Yes.
know that, my
Yes.
generation or our generation as men and women,
Yes.
we are the pioneers where this leadership, where both are leading, is the
Hmm.
first generation. So
Wow.
we are facing so these struggles, but our
Yes.
daughters, they will have another women as reference, So
Wow.
the things are changing.
True. Let's talk about global leadership a little bit, especially with your background and mine. So I know you were born in Brazil, so you speak Portuguese, and then now you live in France, so you do speak French. How did you learn English?
As I told you, when I was 13 years old, my mom decided that should have to learn another language because I was
Hmm.
telling them I want to go to another cultures, another
Hmm.
travel through the world. I want to visit other nations. And she said, I have no idea where you're going to, but I see you are really talking about this all the time. The
Hmm.
best thing I can do is help you to learn another language. So
Wow.
from 13 till 18 years old, I was having regularly English class and also meeting missionaries that were going to Amazonia and,
Wow.
translating them. So this helped me to improve, to better understand.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And those classes were like in your public school in Brazil?
No, it was a private class. Yeah,
Private.
it
Okay.
was.
Okay. Okay. Wow, that is powerful. It is amazing because one thing with language, especially the way they normally teach it in schools, they really teach you how to write. Right, you can write the language and maybe read with a bad accent, but actually being able to be fluent and speak, that's very 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 difficult to do in any language. Like it
Yeah,
took
but
me almost a
that's
month to
so I would
speak in
say
English.
again, you have to know the why.
Yes,
All
yes,
so I was really for me I always sure I want travel. And if mom
yes,
is saying that I need to learn English, I will learn
yes.
English. I will not only take classes, I will learn.
Wow,
So
that
when
is
somebody
powerful.
told me, read the Bible in English, read the Bible in English. Yeah, because this will help you to read things that you know
Yes.
in
Hmm.
another language. So I
Yes.
did. When
Wow.
somebody told me, why don't you translate the missionaries? I said, me? Try. So I went to travel with them.
Wow.
And then I started listening and they were talking to me and they said, you are ready. Come on, let's
That is
translate us.
powerful.
So
Wow. Okay. So you have trained and mentor leaders then across three continents and three languages. You said Portuguese, English, and French. So what are the biggest leadership lessons that remain universal across cultures, no matter where you go?
the main leadership lesson, Lord, this question's hard. I had many, but I would say honestly is believe in yourself,
Mm.
invest on yourself
Mm.
when you know the why.
Yes. Wow.
Because it's not about you, it's never about us, it's not about me. It's why I'm doing this, why am I learning another language, why do I want to be here with you, why,
Mm.
you know
That's powerful. Wow, this is really good because I mean it is so true. I really started studying leadership when I was 17. 17 years old. I got serious about it when I moved to the US. But I've lived, in Africa, the Congo, where I was born. So I'm Congolese by birth, but French by culture. We were a French colony, and then American by choice. But it's true. No matter where I have lived, uh, those leadership principles are universal, right? Believing in yourself, investing in yourself, and knowing why you do what you do. Whether you live in the Congo, in Paris, or in San Francisco, it doesn't matter. Those principles apply, and they will help you be more successful. Wow, that is very powerful. So, knowing all of these cultural differences that shape people around the world in different environments, how can leaders be more effective in multicultural environments?
I would say the first thing is listen to people. Instead of coming and say, I know everything, I teach you. When we are leading in a different culture, listen to people. You have to do. And thank God, I came to France without speaking French.
Wow.
I didn't know my husband would be French, so I wasn't prepared for that.
Wow.
So that wasn't a choice. It was just the reality. I couldn't speak to people. So during the PhD, I could have my discussions and all the things in English while we studied French. So this allowed me to start listening to people more than speaking, you know. So
Wow.
I remember it wasn't comfortable. Can you see? I speak with my hands.
Yes.
It was really,
Wow.
really hard. But I remember talking to someone who was more used and older than me in dealing with different cultures. And I asked him, why? If it was God, why he
Yes.
put me in a country I can't speak? And he said, because you need
Wow.
to learn, Elisa, now to behave like a child. And
That is powerful.
behave
Wow.
like a child means you have to learn to observe exactly as kids do. So
Yes.
I would say that
Yes.
the main thing when we want to influence and work with people with different cultures, instead of say, I know everything, so shut up and listen.
Yes. Yes. Wow, that is very, very, very powerful. Because I remember when I was learning English, one thing that slowed me down a lot was I would think in French, then translate my thoughts to English, and then speak in English. And then when someone replies back, I would hear what they say in English, translate that in French, respond in French, and then translate my response. So it would take me forever to say anything. Of course, now I'm extremely fluent. I speak so fast, but initially it was very, very slow, very, very difficult until like you say, be like a child, right? Like when my children grew up, the way they started speaking English, they just started listening and then they started speaking. They weren't translating with any other language, so they were immersed, right, in the culture and the language. So when you do that, so that's why I think my Spanish is pretty good, but I don't speak fluently yet. But I think if I go to Mexico for like 2 weeks, maybe a month, I will become very, very fluent. Like I know the words, but and of course, with my accent too, that I don't really wanna speak and show how bad I speak the language. But again, if I get in the environment, I feel it will just flow. So that's really what you did when you went to Paris, France, and just tu as commencé à parler français comme les Français. Hein?
I had to listen
Wow.
first to be a child, to allow myself to make a lot of mistakes.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
if she listens to me, her name is Rafa
Wow.
Medreg, and her is from Nigeria, and she was the first
Wow.
one who told me, from now on, Elisa, you are speaking French with me.
Yes.
So
Yes. Well, that is really, really powerful because I think what some people don't realize is anybody who's a leader today, like you with PhDs and all of that, when you first started, you didn't have a PhD, you didn't have the expertise you have now. You had to learn it. So with time, you become an expert. And also, when you start something brand new, you are not very good at it now. Even a child, when they learn to ride the bike, they don't know how to do it. They fall and then they keep trying and then they get better. Even especially walking is probably the best example I choose. Both of my daughter, guess what? They walk today. But when they first started, they would walk one step, two step, and then they would fall. I didn't say, "Oh, I am your dad. You are failing at walking. You cannot walk. No walking for you." No, that's not what you say as a parent. You say, "Try again, try again, try again." It's not comfortable. You get out of your comfort zone, but again, with practice, you get better and better. So I think it's the same thing with a
And
language. It's really
Bobby,
crazy.
and just to extend to your audience, I know you work with many leaders
Mhm.
and people from military, and I know military have
Yes.
a discipline, and make mistake is not something that you consider to.
Hmm.
So, for all those who want, when they especially want to become entrepreneurs, we know entrepreneurs, you are going to make mistakes, you're going to fail forward.
Yes.
So listen,
Hmm.
for these words and apply to every sphere of your life. Soon you will start,
Yes.
soon you make mistakes, soon you learn.
Yes. Wow. That is powerful. So you've already shared a lot of tips, but in your work with diplomat, executive, and entrepreneur, what qualities distinguish a leader who thrive internationally? I know one thing you said is believe in yourself, invest in yourself, and know why you're doing what you're doing. You said listen to people, and you said no, don't be afraid to make mistakes. But when you make mistakes, learn from them and fail forward. Is there any other qualities you think a leader should have in order to thrive
Yeah,
internationally?
yeah, it is. Learn to ask for help.
That's
You
powerful.
are, because
Yes.
again, when we have this mission, this goal in our lives, leaders have this. Doesn't matter if it's for politics or for, doesn't matter the
Hmm.
sphere. You have this mission and you have the responsibility, and you become this Superman, Wonder Woman. So you
Yes.
are afraid to show vulnerable. You are afraid to make mistakes. You are afraid to be authentic. Sometimes you have to be careful because you have used
Hmm.
it to have this. As one of the diplomats, one ambassador told me, I represent my country, even in the way
Wow.
am dressed when I go to meetings. So when I had this
Hmm.
coaching sessions with this person, in front of me was just a woman, not the ambassador, not the, he was a married
Yes.
woman with
Yes.
her fears, with her struggles. So I would say
Hmm.
this is the most courageous thing that a leader has to do, is ask for help, is
Yes.
be coachable, be vulnerable,
Yes.
but that's power.
Wow. That is very very powerful. Be coachable, be vulnerable, be humble. Because I think when you do that too, it allows people who follow you to see that you are still human. You are not some type of god or superhuman being or something, and they can relate to you and with you and follow you even more. That is so true. And it is true that. In the military for a long time it was really a macho organization. Our chain of command and all of that, very very strict and disciplined. But I must tell you, in the last 20 years I've been in the Navy, our leadership style has changed a lot, and I think part of it is because we have more women in the military, which is great, and we have more minorities also. So like when I was a commanding officer at GNOSC, Norfolk in Virginia, in my command, about two-thirds of my people were enlisted, and maybe I would say close to 30% of everybody in my unit were Gen Z. So these are my my kids' generation. So basically, I had about 5 generations working together in one command. I must tell you, Gen Zs are very very different from Gen X. We are not the same. Because I remember, like when I went to boot camp, right, my drill sergeant will be like 2 inches from my face and cursing at me and shouting and all of that. But if you do it to these kids today, they're gonna need to take a time out. They get triggered and all of that. So it's a completely different environment. But then, as a leader, I still need to reach out to them, and I need them to do their very best and contribute to the mission of my organization. So the way I may be able to lead another Gen X person is not the same way I'm going to be leading people for my daughter's generation, right? So I have to change the way I inspire them and lead them to do the work. So it is quite a uh, challenge, but I guess that's why leaders get paid the big bucks, right? So another question I have for you for the first segment. So you are a John Maxwell team certified coach, speaker, and trainer, just like me. So which one of Dr. Maxwell leadership law resonate most with
Ah,
you personally, and why?
which law?
Which is your
Which
favorite?
law? It's my favorite, but
Yes.
not the easiest. Okay. It's the
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, the law of sacrifice.
Mm.
And why?
Yes.
Because
The law of
yeah,
sacrifice.
and
Yes.
the reason is that's my journey. Literally, it was easier to be a kid influenced with my dad on my back or next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as an adult,
Yes.
I'm going to higher places, as John says,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't go with all your luggage. Just
Mm.
as when I came from Brazil to France, I just had two luggage to bring, and all my life
Yes.
was in two luggage. Everything. So that's
Wow.
exactly what happens when you go higher. You want positions. You have to
Mm-hmm.
know what you are going to sacrifice, and you don't sacrifice things you
Yes.
don't like. You sacrifice things you want to, you love to.
Yes.
Sacrifice my family. I sacrifice the time with my kids. I
Wow.
sacrifice sometimes. For example, I'm going to spend a month in Brazil, which means a month far from my
Mm-hmm.
kids, far from home. So this law helps me daily to remember again the why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Wow. The law of sacrifice a leader must give up to go
Yeah.
up. And it says, what would you give up for the people who follow you? This leader gave his life. Why? Because he understood the power of the law of sacrifice. But I must tell you, in my entire experience, the only industry I've seen where people are willing to give their life for the person to their right and to their left is in the military. I don't see anybody in the tech industry, from Microsoft or Google or Facebook, to say, "Hey, Bob Zinga, I would be okay with giving my life for you, but when I am in the Navy, especially in time of war in a combat zone, the sailor to my right and to my left, I count on them and they count on me too." And yeah, that law of sacrifice is definitely real in the military. And as a leader, yes, it is definitely something you should do. Right, as a servant leader, you're supposed to be serving those who follow you. So we're gonna switch over. We quickly running out of time to go to the second half of the podcast. But before we do, is there a question I should have asked you that I haven't asked yet for the first segment?
No, that's fine. There are many questions.
Okay. Very good. Okay. So for the second segment, then, one of the questions I would ask: what do you think is the secret of your success with all of the accomplishment you have had? Why do you think you are so successful?
God, there is no other main reason, and I would not take
Yes.
grant for anything. Honestly, I
Yes.
told about my daddy, and I say that my relationship
Mm-hmm.
with God is what it is because I had a father
Yes.
who was present and showed me love. So I believe in God literally.
Yes.
And he says,
Yes.
Elisa, go, I go.
Wow.
So that's the way I say again. When you have your father has your back, no one
Mm-hmm.
can stop you.
Wow, that is powerful. That is powerful. Yeah, and I am really glad my oldest daughter too. She's really, really grateful that I've always believed that she could do anything she wanted to do in life. That gave her a lot of courage and boldness. When other people would tell her, "Hey, you are not enough. You are a woman. You can do it." It's like, no, my dad already told me I could, so it doesn't matter now. It makes a big, big difference. Wow, that is powerful. So, what do you think is the greatest leadership advice you have ever received?
I would say now something that's coming to my mind. That's Trace Morrow. That's from Maxwell Leadership
Mm-hmm.
team as well. And once she said she told her kids, there are two things you have to pay attention is before doing something. Is first is think
Mm-hmm.
honoring God, and the
Mm-hmm.
second is this dishonoring someone. And she says that
Wow.
if you follow all decisions in your life asking these questions, is this honoring or dishonoring God? Or is this dishonoring someone? In particular, when you are dealing with different cultures, because sometimes you may think it doesn't dishonor anyone. And again, look, I'm
Mm-hmm.
dressed like I appreciate, but when I go to a Muslim
Wow.
environment, I have to cover my head. I have to cover my body. Does that
Yes.
means that
Yes.
I agree with that? No, but when I am in their environment, I
Yes.
have to respect their rules. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
what
Yes.
means dishonoring can change from environment from that's the way
Wow.
you lead in different cultures is knowing are you
Wow.
dishonoring them doing your way,
Yes.
you know.
That is very, very, very powerful. Honor your environment. Wow. No, this is really, really great. And I guess Paul says that when you in Rome act as a Roman, but being able to show that respect, that really makes a big, big difference. Wow. No, this is great, and I know, no, I've traveled quite a bit after I became a U.S. citizen. And I know in some country, people really think that Americans are very arrogant. No, they come to your country, they act like it belongs to them, and they just do things their own way and don't show any respect for the local culture and mores. And yeah, that is wrong. But when you go to somebody's house, you definitely need to show reverence and respect for the way uh, their culture and the way they do things. I think that is why. Wow. Okay.
Bobby, just again, because it when as I work with people from different cultures, I know it's one thing that
Hmm.
comes to our mind is who am I? You know, if I have to behave
Yes.
like the order to honor this place. So that's what I'm not saying. Is
Hmm.
find your way that it respects who you are and also respects the order. So
Hmm.
just to give an example, I remember
Yes.
one mastermind I had 15 laws of leadership of growth. We
Hmm.
had this lot of Muslim people that were they were from Senegal. And I
Yes.
realized that I should be more covered. So in the next lesson, I
Hmm.
decided I would have a vest, a jacket with me, and I just decided
Hmm.
to touch my hair like this, So in this way, I
Hmm.
wasn't covering my hair, but I wasn't not
Yes.
exposing, because it becomes a
Hmm.
distraction for them. So just
Yes.
find a
Yes.
way that you are who you are, but you can be
Hmm.
sensible for what matters for them as well. That's the compromise.
That's very powerful because that's really emotional intelligence, right? Being aware of yourself, but also of your environment. I must tell you that I've been married since 2001, 24 years now. My wife is probably the single greatest person who's helped me be more aware of my surrounding and of the feeling of other people. Because sometimes, as a born leader, you kind of like, I have something to do and I'm going to do it business, business, business. I can't even step on toes and not even realize it because I'm like, we have a mission, we have to do this task, 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 task. But sometimes, like, okay, you have to stop and think about feelings. How do people feel? And yes, that's very important. So, wow, okay. So, as a leader, I know leaders are learners. What are you learning right now?
What I'm learning right now is you've just mentioned is about how to manage more emotional. I'm reading about emotional
Hmm.
intelligence.
Yes.
I'm preparing whole program about this as
Wow. That is powerful, and I must tell you, I live in Silicon Valley. We have a lot of very, very smart people here. I think the IQ is probably off the chart compared to most places, but emotional intelligence, we have a lot of work to do, and that is so important as a leader. So, how has failure shaped your life?
well. Oh my gosh, many ways. When you are
Yeah.
pioneering, you have to know you are going to make a lot of mistakes and learn from them.
Hmm.
So um, it will help you to build who you really are. You know,
Yes.
remember the why again. Why am I going to start again? Am
Hmm.
I going to try again? Or I just give up.
Yes.
Um, and mainly, I would say it seems easy when I say, but it was hard for me. Was learn to ask for help before. You know, learn how
Hmm.
to ask for help before something happened. If you are starting something new,
Yes.
find mentors, find an environment where people are already doing this. Ask for help before you start doing things. That will
Yes.
help you
Yes.
to be humble and say, I need your help, Bobby, to do, for example, a podcast like this.
Yes.
Look
Yes.
how amazing your podcast is, instead of just proud
Yes.
and say, "Do all by myself," ask for help before we start.
Wow, that is powerful. So, who are the people that you know that we should know? Who are some of your thought leaders and mentors?
John Maxwell, that's for sure. He's someone who
Yes.
really
Yeah.
became as a father for me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Paul Martinelli as well. He was the founder of the
Yes.
organization. He has helped me a lot with
Mm-hmm.
mindset, and I'm so grateful for his life.
Yes.
And the other one is more for the Brazilian community, is Elton Euler, who is helping me about this emotional dependence, emotional relationships, and things like this.
Yes. Wow. And if you could choose three people to have dinner with, who would you choose and why? They could be alive, dead, or even mythical
Yeah.
figures.
This is quite an interesting question, because I think the first one she's not alive indeed. It's from the Bible,
Mhm.
and her name is Deborah. I do
Yes.
admire this woman. For those who doesn't know, it's a woman who went to the war with men and with the
Mm-hmm.
10,000 men, So I would love to sit
Yes.
with her and said, how could you be a leader in that time?
Yes.
The only woman among these men on the war. I love that's for
Yes.
sure. Deborah would be the first in my
Wow.
list. Um,
Two more.
and the second it's someone who is alive. It's Michelle Obama. I do admire
Yes.
her and Barack Obama journey as well. Being, minority, becoming the president, the first
Mm-hmm.
lady. Her book Become is
Yes.
something that I appreciate. So I would love to sit with Michelle Obama.
Mm-hmm. One more.
And the third one, she's also a black woman, but she's for more influence in the Christian environment. That's Priscilla Scheider. Particularly
Yes,
her book,
Priscilla. Mm-hmm.
The Resolution for Women, is one book that I love, and I'd love to have time with her.
Yes. Good. So, having talked about book, which books would you recommend to my audience?
Are you ready to take notes?
Yes.
This is my favorite part. Books. I love books. So I would say the Bible. I would say for sure the first
Yes.
one is the Bible. That's the book that I read
Mm-hmm.
daily. Um, I would say read books from Maxwell. You mentioned the 21 Laws. That's one book. And
Yes.
Put Your Dream to the Test. That's a good way to
Yeah.
help you to fail a little bit more less, to make less
Mm-hmm.
failure. I would love, influenced by Paul Martinelli, I would say Think and Grow Rich. That is Napoleon
Yes.
Hill. And I would say The
Mm-hmm.
Science of Getting Rich. That is Wallace.
Yeah.
And I would say also the last one is Psychocybernetic. That is from Dr. Maxwell Maltz. The three books of mindset
Yes.
for me are the Bible of mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And for women,
No.
if you allow me, I would add, there's The Lady of the Lamp is Florence Nightingale. She's the one who created the nurse school. And if you
Mm-hmm.
never read her book, her life, read it for all ladies right there.
Wow.
And the Francine Rivers, The Lineage of Grace, is about 5 women in the Bible who I would consider never for being the lineage of grace, but they were
Wow.
the exception that were there. Yeah.
So, what about podcast? Which podcast would you recommend?
Besides yours, I would say Esther Perel. That is, she meant a lot about relationship, and I think we need, in particular, why? First of all, she is not Christian, to not say just, but she is
Mm-hmm.
someone she's married for many many years, and she says, I have 3 marriages with the same man. So she says our relationship, in a given moment, you are going to have difficulties. It's hard to keep going.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, restart again. You have the choice that you choose somebody else or come
Wow.
back and do the same. So she says, in our 30 years of marriage, we have restarted again. So I love the way she continues.
Wow. And I think he's mentioned this one
Yeah,
also.
definitely. That's about finances. The Ramsey show that helps a lot
Definitely.
about how to manage and become a billionaire. Yeah, baby steps.
Okay, what about the best podcast in the world?
Mine. That this is starting definitely something is
Yes.
easier leadership, and leadership is easier is women in the Bible. So it's how to
Hmm.
learn this, become leaders, but in the way God thinks we should be leaders, not against men, but
Wow.
next to men.
Yes. Okay. We are almost running out of time. I'm so enjoying speaking with you. If you had one day and only one day to live, what would you have liked your final contribution to be?
I would say that the people who I care most, my three kids, to let them know they
Yes.
are loved unconditionally, doesn't matter what. I would say to my husband,
Yes.
to cultivate a gratitude in his heart more than stress and worries. I know men who are providers. Sometimes I stress it how to
Hmm.
provide. I would say keep gratitude instead of stress and worries. And I would say
Yes.
that for all of us, let's invest in the next generation beyond us. Let's do whatever we can,
Yes.
even if it's one person for the next generation. Let's helping
Mm.
them to become better.
Thank you so much. And by the way, we have someone listening now, Sigali Betsy, coming to us from Burkina Faso. So that's in Africa. Thank you so much for being here. I do appreciate that. And also for those who are watching, you still have time to let us know where you are joining us from, what city, state. And also, I'd like to know one thing you are grateful for today. And also, if you have a question for Dr. Rodriguez, please go ahead and type it in the comment. And I'm going to make sure to ask you in the next 5-10 minutes before we end the show. Thank you so much. Wow, this is very powerful. And Dr. Rodriguez, what is one problem you would like to solve when you wake up every morning? What is that one problem you really would like to solve?
The main problem is in front of myself. It's me. I
Yes.
have to be honest. This life has allowed me to understand I need help. I need to work for myself daily. I'm aware
Wow.
of this. So the main problem is, don't forget, you have to be careful about your words, your attitude. That's the main. But beyond me
Yes.
is really how can I add value for the next generation. And I think we are going to have time to mention about the social work that I'm working in Brazil. But this is really is how can I become more, how can I have more money, how can I help more kids.
Yes.
That's the thing that is burning my heart in this season.
Wow. That is powerful because, yeah, it is time for us to ask you. You've been so generous with your time. How can we add value back to you?
So help other Elisangela that are there in the Amazonia where I was born. So just to be more specifically, we have one of the programs of Maxwell Leadership that is I Lead, and I Lead is one program that helps kids to develop themselves as in their social and emotional environment. And we are having
Mhm.
this program translated to Brazil since 2023. We have someone, Fabiana Oliveira, who with her husband, who is founding, and we have 15,000 kids just in Amazonas,
Wow.
100,000 kids in Brazil who are receiving this program, 3-year education program. And our dream is to have this in the Holy Amazon. My dream is to bring this to my whole state, which means
Wow.
450,000 kids in my whole country. Each kid requires around $25 investment. So any help up to help us with this finance will be wonderful.
Wow. So what I would say, I'm encouraging everybody who's a friend of this podcast to go to Maxwell Leadership Foundation, right? maxwellleadership.org, and donate to the foundation. But make sure to say, I lead Brazil, or you lidero in Portuguese. And I'm asking for just $5. That's the price of a coffee, right? Starbucks. So again, let me just put it here too. But basically, Maxwell Leadership Foundation donate. I think that is very, very important that we do. And I think even if you are not a billionaire, I think most of us, especially in America, we can afford $5. Now, $5 may not be very, very much, but I think no, everything adds up. Because I remember when the war in Ukraine started, right? I asked my network to only give $5, but we were able to raise over, not just my network, but everybody who gave over $2 million for the Ukrainian people, because I have about 30,000 people who follow me and another 35,000 first degree connection, and then another 34,000 people who follow me on LinkedIn. Together, that's 64,000 people. See, if everybody of us gives only $5, if everyone contribute, that would be more than $300,000. So I think
And here,
don't despise the small amount.
this is
right?
one of the
Yes.
examples of the book that the kids read for free.
Little.
Yeah, thanks to you.
Yes. So maxwellleadership.org donate. Again, make sure to put I lead Brazil, so it goes to that. So because of that, I'm gonna play a short video. It's in only about 3 minutes. It's in Portuguese, but there is a caption. So let's play that for just a minute. I think this
Somos
is
a
important.
Oliveira Foundation, uma organização não governamental focada no desenvolvimento de habilidades interpessoais e de liderança para crianças, adolescentes e adultos. Nossos pilares são família, educação e trabalho. Nascemos da certeza de que a educação emocional ou socioemocional é o maior e mais potente vetor de mudanças, pois trabalha um processo educativo voltado para o desenvolvimento e aprimoramento das habilidades cognitivas. Ela tem sido utilizada como ferramenta principal para melhorar o aprendizado de crianças, jovens e adultos, auxiliando na sua formação como indivíduo. Oferecemos uma plataforma digital social que democratiza o conhecimento socioemocional. Temos 3 programas para o desenvolvimento de habilidades de liderança em favelas, comunidades, organizações e escolas no Brasil e países de língua portuguesa. O Eu Lidero é uma metodologia que desperta uma nova mentalidade em crianças e adolescentes de 9 a 18 anos, criada pela Maxwell Leadership Foundation e trazida para o Brasil em parceria com a Oliveira Foundation. O programa de formação em liderança transformacional é voltado para a educação socioemocional de adultos. Nossa metodologia conta com 3 pilares: ser, fazer e ter, que promovem o despertar de uma nova mentalidade, gerando um ambiente com foco no desenvolvimento integral de cada indivíduo. Acreditamos que uma liderança consciente do seu potencial é o que precisamos para a transformação de cada um do nosso país e do mundo. O programa Mude Seu Mundo nasceu de um livro de John Maxwell e Robbie Hoskins e se tornou um processo, uma plataforma e um movimento mundial. Um verdadeiro guia para boas escolhas e foco em soluções sustentáveis. Já alcançamos mais de 30 mil crianças e adolescentes, mais de 400 instituições do terceiro setor. Formamos mais de 3.500 líderes adultos e para tudo isso acontecer, nós desenvolvemos uma jornada sincronizada que conta com metodologias de educação socioemocional, habilidades interpessoais e liderança, plataforma de ensino à distância, material didático e facilitadores treinados. Seguimos firmes na missão de espalhar essas sementes. Acreditamos que o solo é fértil e que geramos muitos frutos. Acreditamos na multiplicação desse legado para as próximas gerações. Oliveira Foundation. A cada nova mentalidade, uma nova realidade. Individual, global.
All right, for those of you who are going to give, I am very, very grateful. I think it was also inspired by this book, Change Your World. And I believe Papa Maxwell said this is the book he was born to write. He's written more than almost 100 books, sold more than 30 million books, bestseller, New York Times #1 bestseller. But this is how you change your world, right? One person at a time. So I just wanted to take a minute to do this because I think this is critically important. And thank you so much, Dr. Rodrigues, for bringing this to our attention. And again, Maxwell Leadership Foundation, I trust them and I know them. They're not going to waste your money. Every donation is going to be used for the maximum to really make a difference in the Amazonian. So thanks again,
Thank you
Dr.
so
Rodrigues.
much,
Really
Robin.
appreciate that.
Thank you so much. And
Right.
I thank you, everyone who's going to contribute and everyone who has spent their time listening to this journey. Thank you for adding
Yes.
value to us, Thank you for this amazing work. I didn't know your podcast, but I started seeing it after you invited me. And I thank you for
Yes.
what you've been doing.
Merci beaucoup. So we are pretty much at the end of the podcast now. Is there a question I should have asked you that I haven't asked yet?
No.
Okay. All right. So now I'm going to ask you, I believe, the most important question I ask every guest. If you could go back and give a piece of advice to your 17-year-old self, standing at the edge of this incredible career you've had, what would you say to the 17-year-old Elisangela Rodrigues?
Oh my gosh. I would say never doubt what God has told you, because He's faithful to accomplish far beyond whatever you could ask or think. Honestly, it's not just repeating Bible verse. It has been my journey.
Wow, that is powerful. Never doubt. Yeah, it's very interesting. Sometimes when God gives you a dream, right, it shows you kind of what the final uh, thing is going to look like, but it doesn't show you how to go from A to B to C to D. So all of that you kind of have to figure it out yourself to end up at your final destination. And sometimes you're going to be afraid, and that's normal. And sometimes you're going to have to have faith and courage.
Do
But
it afraid.
yes, that's
Do it afraid. Do it afraid.
yes. Yes. Wow. Feel the fear and do it anyway. That's powerful. Okay. Now at the very end, three adjective about you as a child. Don't think too long. Three adjective when you were a child that describe you.
Extrovert girl, leader, joyful.
Wow. You are the first person who ever said that you were a child leader. That's just amazing. I can't believe it. Okay. As an adult, three adjective as an adult.
I think I am coachable.
Okay.
I am pioneering and I'm visionary.
Very good. All right. So this is the very end of the show. And the last question I'm going to ask you, what is one word that represents our shared experience on this podcast together? What word comes to mind?
Beyond. Beyond expectation. Yeah. That's the word. Beyond.
Yes, I think mine is similar. Mine is amazed because what's very interesting, right? It was 5 a.m. here in California. I believe it was 2 p.m. in Paris, France, and we are able to talk because of the power of technology. And the video I just showed, it will eventually be dubbed in English too, but you can see it in like 11 languages on my YouTube channel right now. And it's just amazing what technology can do for communication globally and being able to have a leadership conversation in any language using the internet and artificial intelligence. That's just so powerful. So thanks again for being here. And again, in your honor, you are the first person I've spoken to originally from a Portuguese speaking country. So when I get my 10-minute AI recap of our conversation, it's going to be in English, of course, and then in French, because you speak French, and in Portuguese as well. So that's going to be the first time I'm going to produce in Portuguese. I didn't show that here. Did you see the promo I made for you? I was speaking in Portuguese. Did you see that?
Perfect. And I said,
yeah, but
how can you do that?
yeah, I don't speak a word of Portuguese, so that was all done by artificial intelligence. And this show also, when I put it on YouTube, it is going to have a audio track in Portuguese. So you're going to hear yourself speak in Portuguese. No, somebody else's voice, but it's going to be AI. But people are going to be able to see that. Again, thanks again for everybody coming on the show, and very, very many thanks to Dr. Elisangela Rodrigues. Thank you for making the time to speak with us today. We are
so honored. Be blessed.
Right.
Bye.
Bye. All right, guys, you've added that was Dr. Elisangela Rodrigues, and what a blessing to be able to talk to her. Please follow her on LinkedIn in Elisangela Rodrigues. And later today, I believe it's going to be 2 p.m., I'm going to be talking to my shipmate, my friend, Commander Kevin Jack. We've served together in the U.S. Navy, and it's going to be really, really wonderful to get his perspective on leadership. So be there. Again, I'm going to triple check the time. I believe I'm meeting with him today at no, sorry. Okay, here we go. 2:30 actually. 2:30. So 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:30 p.m. California time. Again, I'm going to be meeting with my buddy, my shipmate, Commander Kevin Jack. So make sure to come back on LinkedIn and YouTube, and we're going to have that conversation. Okay, thanks again for being with us today. Again, I really would appreciate if you let me know where you are watching from, even as you watch the replay. And if you have a question, go ahead and type it in. We're gonna answer that. And also, I appreciate if you can like, subscribe, and repost and tag your friends so they can be part of this conversation as well. All right, I will see you guys later today. Thank you so much for being here with me. And again, Dr. Rodrigues says, honored for having your attention. And we are so honored to have had Dr. Rodrigues with us today, all the way from Brazil and Paris. All right. Bye, everybody. This is Coach Busy. Thanks for watching. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, and share.
Thank you for listening to the Leadership and Success Podcast with your host, Coach BZ. If you like what you heard, please subscribe to our channels and come back for more wisdom nuggets on how you may develop into a better leader and achieve greater levels of success. Leadership is the most critical skill. The world will always need leaders to lead others, deploy the next disruptive technology, or execute a business strategy. You may as well decide on counting yourself among the 21st century leaders. See you right here next time on the Leadership and Success Podcast with Coach BZ.